Hi, I'm Brittany Cirillo, neurotherapist, mental health counselor, and owner of Alternative Therapeutics. I often get asked, so what is neurofeedback anyway? How does it work? And can it help me with my particular issue? I wanted to take a few minutes here and try and explain in simple terms what neurofeedback is, how it's used, and who can benefit from it. So I hope that you find this helpful. Many people assume that neurofeedback is a brand new technology with not much research or support for its use. But actually, neurofeedback has been around since the 1960s and has had a small but much growing following, especially in recent decades. There have been thousands and thousands of studies on the use of neurofeedback over the years, and research continues every day. More than anything, neurofeedback has been studied for the use of treating ADHD in children. And in 2012, the American Academy of Pediatrics actually rated neurofeedback as a level 1 best support intervention for ADHD. And this is the highest possible rating that they give. It's on the same level as stimulant medications and behavioral therapy and is shown to be at least as effective as these interventions. There's a whole lot of other uses for neurofeedback, and we will talk more about those here in a bit. So what is neurofeedback anyway? Neurofeedback can also be called brainwave training. We all produce different types of brainwaves, or EEG, as most of us have heard of. Each brainwave type serves a different purpose. The slowest brainwaves we produce are delta waves. Then there's theta, alpha, and beta. Delta waves, for example, as I mentioned, are the slowest that we produce and are very important for the deepest stages of sleep and for encoding memories. Beta waves are the fastest waves that we produce and are associated with the state of intellectual activity and outward focused concentration. Each of these brainwave types is extremely important. We need them all for different reasons, but when these brainwave types start to become unbalanced or dysregulated, it can create issues both cognitively and emotionally. For example, if somebody produces too many beta waves, they'll often become anxious, they'll deal with racing thoughts, perhaps panic attacks, they'll feel scattered and have trouble controlling the level of stress and overwhelm that they feel on a day-to-day basis. If somebody starts producing too many slow waves on the other end of the spectrum, such as delta and theta, they'll often experience symptoms of poor attention, impulse control issues, memory issues, low motivation, and sometimes depression as well. Imbalances in these brainwaves can occur for various different reasons. Some of these reasons include genetics, brain injuries or concussions, chronic substance abuse, trauma of any sort, chronic maladaptive behaviors and thought patterns over time, contributing to stuck patterns. So how do we fix these imbalances? I personally like to think of neurofeedback as a sort of physical therapy for the brain because we are enhancing cognitive flexibility and the ability to control our cognitions and emotions. We want to strengthen the brainwave types that are going to benefit us, and we want to calm down the brainwave types that are causing us issues. We do this by reading your brainwave activity at the scalp with very sensitive EEG electrodes. Your brain's electrical activity is sent through the electrode to my computer, which then relays real-time, instantaneous feedback to you, the client. Usually you are receiving some sort of visual or audio information. You're usually watching a screen of some sort. This feedback will let you know whether your brain is producing the type of activity that we want or if it's not. So for example, if I'm seeing somebody with ADD and I want them to produce less of those slow waves that cause them to zone out and more of the good fast brain waves that help them with focus and concentration, when their brain is producing that activity pattern, they will receive positive feedback to let them know that they're doing it right. For example, on their tablet, they're playing a video game where their spaceship wins the race when they're doing what we want their brain to do, or they're watching a YouTube video on the tablet and the screen is bright and they're easily able to see what they're watching when their brain's doing what we want, and when it's not doing what we want, the screen goes dark. So over time, the brain learns to produce this pattern because it's being rewarded for doing so. So it's showing you in a way what your brain is doing. After practicing this for several sessions, this becomes a new learned pattern for your brain, and it will start to do it on its own without having to be in my office. This training method of increasing certain behaviors or by reward is known as operant conditioning. You may have learned about this method when you took Psych 101 in college. It's been around for decades. So now that we have a basic understanding of what neurofeedback is and how it works, let's talk about what it can be helpful for and who it can be helpful for. And the answer, truly, my honest answer, is everybody can benefit from neurofeedback. Because on some level, on a basic level, neurofeedback is going to help with relaxation and focus. And who can't use more of that in their lives, right? As far as what neurofeedback has been shown to be effective for through scientific research, the applications are quite vast, but I'll name some of the top uses that neurofeedback is most frequently utilized for. Examples: anxiety, depression, sleep disorders, headaches and other pain disorders, ADHD, as we've talked about, impulse control or emotional regulation issues, memory, head injury or concussion, autism spectrum disorder, learning disabilities, addiction disorders, epilepsy, obsessive compulsive disorders, PTSD, and trauma. And that's a pretty long list, and the list is growing all the time. I personally have been doing neurofeedback for over 3 years now, and I've been studying the brain for over 12. If you're considering neurofeedback, I'd encourage you to think about a few things when you're choosing who you want to help you. First, it's my personal belief that the person providing neurofeedback should be trained as a mental health clinician or professional. Neurofeedback has a way of kind of shaking things up in the brain, releasing stuck patterns, and at times deep-rooted traumas or memories can come to the surface. And so it's important for the person who's treating you to know what to do in those situations and know how to handle that. So I think that who you work with should absolutely be a mental health professional. Second, the person should be BCIA certified. BCIA is the international governing body that provides certification to the people who have completed the rigorous requirements to be able to effectively and safely utilize neurofeedback. I happen to be BCIA certified. Third, you want to consider the amount of experience and expertise of the person that you're working with. We're working with your brain here, so you want to find somebody who knows what they're doing, and this isn't just something they do on the side. This is something that they do full time. And that's all the tips I have and all the information that I wanted to share. Thank you so much for your time and for listening. If you have any questions at all, I encourage you to reach out to me, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.